Okay, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. Our apologies for the late start. We had some technical difficulties. Roll call, Mr. Sinaceros. Here. Mr. Taylor.
Here.
Mr. Sweeney.
Here.
Dr. Willingham. Brenda, would you like to lead us in the pledge, please?
Please place your hand on your heart. Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I have a motion for approval of the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'm informed there's no public comments, so unless there's objection, I'll waive reading of the public comment section. Okay, we'll close public comment. Presentation, superintendent's presentation on Mountain View School District's COVID-19 response.
Thank you. Today is the 1-year anniversary of the first COVID-19 case identified in the United States. And tonight I present on the district's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. I'll also be providing the latest information on COVID-19 as well as future directions. So let's go back in time together. January of 2020, there was news of a respiratory virus in the Wuhan province of China. February of 2020, responding to community concerns about repatriation flights of Americans evacuating Wuhan, China to Ontario International Airport. On March 13th, 2020, all school districts in Western San Bernardino County closed due to COVID-19. March 16th, nutritional services began services to all students. Nutritional services staff is joined by administrative services to prepare, package, and serve our community and address food insecurity. March of 2020, MVSD staff continue to do check-ins, continuation of curriculum, and support for our students. And our school sites received the first round of cleansing and sterilizing. In April of 2020, plans begin for continuing our educational program for the rest of the school year. New safety protocols launched on all district sites, and our MVSD board meetings moved to Zoom. May of 2020, MVSD has all 4 schools and the district office certified as COVID compliant. A safe and sane material return program is completed on all campuses. Our 2019-2020 educational program ended. We held a car processional and celebration on Turner Avenue for our promoting 8th graders. And our district prepared for summer nutritional feeding programs that were for all of South Ontario's youth. In June of 2020, our summer nutritional services program began. All school sites received a second round of cleansing and sterilizing. New enhanced safety COVID protocols were launched across the district. Our Board of Trustees approved a plan for distance education, hybrid, and in-person education, depending on what is now referred to as the old tiered response system. Teacher assignments, reassignments to support our MVSD 2020 plan were complete. July of 2020, distance learning has moved forward due to San Bernardino County's level on the new, now old, COVID tier system. Wi-Fi hotspots were purchased to assist students and families with Wi-Fi access. Distribution plans were created for the release of materials, books, Chromebooks, and more on all of our campuses. And round 3 cleaning begins. August of 2020, our MVSD 2020 plan was fully implemented with the exception of COVID challenges, which included daycare, which was not able to be launched through the YMCA program due to a halt in programming from the state of California. 6th graders were done on all of our elementary campuses. Our 2021 school year launched. Teachers and support staff began to implement a robust educational program. We told our public, our community as a whole, that this program would be different than what they saw in the spring. And we received numerous accolades from our community about the rigor of the program that our teachers put together on a daily basis for our students. In September of 2020, our COVID rates began to climb, then plateaued. More restrictions were announced by our governor. A new color-coded based response system was instituted. The meeting of the Board of Trustees was held at the Jill Coulter Memorial Auditorium, and a school waiver system was introduced by the state. October of 2020, our COVID rates began to climb again. Our board meetings held at the Jill Coulter Memorial Auditorium began to utilize recorded links and limited live transmission technologies to support our meetings. November of 2020, our COVID rates continued to climb. Early vaccine data is released with a hope for a launch in December. Severe travel restrictions and business closures continued across our county and state, and our board meetings went to a live YouTube format. December of 2020, our COVID rates hit new highs. Board organizational meetings were held live on YouTube. Medical staff and frontline workers began to receive Pfizer and later the Moderna vaccines. All holiday events, including the district holiday tea, were canceled. And Governor Newsom issued us the strictest order yet on movement of people, opening of businesses, mask wearing, and social distancing across the state. January of 2021, a new hope. We completed our first full semester in distance education mode. Vaccination distributions ramped up. Our COVID rates, though they continue to climb, appear to have stabilized in South Ontario. Non-medical staff began to receive vaccines. A new tiered system is introduced for vaccine priority. Counties roll out vaccine systems. Governor Newsom lifted the strict safety measures, allowing more businesses to open. Governor Newsom also released a favorable budget proposal and also proposed an aggressive system for schools to return to an open status, but few, if any, of the requirements were attainable by the vast majority of districts in the west end of San Bernardino. All of this has happened in 11 months, which is significant at any time period. But if you consider what has happened, not just as it relates to Mountain View School District, but across our community in 11 months, it'll give you a moment to pause and think about that and to take into account how many people in South Ontario have faced significant hardships due to COVID. We've had numerous business closures. We've had families impacted by doubling up within housing and housing units. We've had the third highest rate of youth infection rates for COVID-19 in San Bernardino County. We've lost a large number of our citizens to COVID and COVID-related illness in 11 months. So if we look at our current and where we stand, our rates are now declining. We now have multiple weeks of decline from COVID-19. Testing is now readily available throughout our county. Vaccine is available. It is in extremely high demand, which I'll talk about in a moment. County residents 65 and over, medical personnel, police, and fire can access vaccines at a range of different facilities across our county. Though teachers are not able to access vaccines like other groups, there is a different system now in place within the county, allocating doses in small increments and prioritizing schools that are currently open and charter schools across the county. The county has also underestimated the number of educators who would want to take the vaccine, which has hindered the rollout as well. Some Mountain View School District staff who live in Riverside County have been able to access vaccines in Riverside County, which has helped our overall numbers. Though as of last Thursday, only 5% of our staff have been vaccinated. All Mountain View School District staff who want to receive a vaccine should be able to have access to our county for the vaccine. And in our district, we do not distinguish between positions, meaning classified certificated teacher support staff. All are able to receive vaccine when it is available. Priority, however, will be done by age. I continue to work on a wide range of community relationships to assist with vaccinating our district, but we're still facing extremely high demand and low supply of vaccine. The federal government has made tremendous gains to combat the impact of COVID-19 on our nation. Former President Trump provided national leadership with Operation Warp Speed, which provided frontline vaccines into our COVID arsenal. President Biden has announced a 100-day plan to enhance the federal response, which includes opening federal vaccine centers nationwide. Our local federal COVID site is Cal Poly Pomona, and once vaccines are available for distribution, up to 10,000 people per day can access vaccines through the federal system. Additional sites in the region include Cal State Los Angeles. Governor Newsom has announced a new plan that he has created with the California legislature to reopen California schools. We expect to hear details of this plan later this week. We also expect the state's vaccine program to leave the counties and go to a central agency, which may be Blue Cross. Details are also forthcoming. Our county continues to work to determine which teachers will receive vaccines and when. We are told to expect a long process that is highly dependent on vaccine availability. Today, February 9th, 2021, Mountain View School District can applaud the exceptional work of our teachers, support staff, administration, board of trustees, families, and students. We've maintained a high attendance rate in our district through our distance learning model. Our teachers have risen to every challenge to create meaningful educational opportunities for our students. Zoom has been far from perfect. Wi-Fi issues can and do come and go. But at the end of the day, students are meeting these unique challenges and embracing the rigor that our teachers are bringing to their lessons every day. Our teachers make contact with students every day, every student. Our teachers hold office hours to meet our students where they're at each afternoon. Our mental and behavioral health teams support the social emotional challenges that our students are facing, not just due to distance learning, but from distance living. Our students, just like the adults, everyone listening to this message has had the opportunity to experience what life is like in an altered state, an altered place, a world far from anything that we have experienced before. It is an isolated world without many of the joys that we used to take part in on a daily basis. Mountain View School District is united. Our labor unions, our leadership team, our board of trustees stand up for preserving the ideals of our school district while navigating the challenging world of county, state, and federal politics and policy changes. We stand united in wanting to return to our schools, to our students on our campuses. We want to return to music, to sports, to clubs, to friends, and perhaps most of all, to true connection. However, we can only make that return when it is safe for our staff and students. The month of February will be filled with many policy changes from our various levels of government. There will be information and there will be misinformation. Everyone wants schools to open. Many people want to provide their opinion, but very few people want to listen to the very unique challenges that we face in public education. I asked the board, our labor unions, our leadership team, the entire district to spend the month of February in a state of informational neutrality. That means take information in. It means allowing the ebb and flow of information to occur. It means holding off on making specific decisions until after the onslaught of policy shifts and changes have occurred. Then, and only then, can we make decisions that are truly valuable and meaningful for our community. February is a time that we commit to stay the course. We can remain on our virtual learning platform until there are appropriate indicators of a time to pivot. Any change must be weighed carefully. We do not want to rush to pivot or change only to find we have less direct time with students or that we endanger the health and welfare of our community. Mountain View School District takes the health and welfare of our staff seriously. We've mentioned this many times before. We take the health and welfare of our students seriously. But it is often not mentioned how seriously we take the health and welfare of our families in our community, where our students will return from a school setting or whatever setting they might be in to grandma, to grandpa, to aunt, to uncle, tía, tío, y los otros miembros of the family, everyone together within the community. And that is where the challenge comes in as we look at reopening from a community sense. February of 21 is a time of hope. We are approaching the end of this marathon. Vaccination is happening and infection rates are down. We have hope that we can celebrate our student accomplishments this year, including our sixth graders completing their elementary education and our eighth graders who are promoting to high school. We have hope that we can celebrate the journey our teachers and students have been on during this year of growth, grit, and resiliency. We have hope the distance education program will come to a close on May 21st, 2021. We have hope that we can start the 21-22 school year after the 4th of July with a voluntary, robust, extended summer school program in person. We have hope that we can launch the 21-22 school year on August 9th, 2021 in person and in as normal of a capacity as possible. We have hope that we can once again come together as a community in person and in real time in the near future. Thank you, Mountain View School District, for supporting our community and resisting the ever-changing whims of government, politics, and social media. I'd like to thank the board and our community for staying the course. And above all, I would like to thank the Mountain View School District community for maintaining hope. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Moss. Do you have questions?
May I make a statement? First of all,
Is it
I
a
want to say
question or a statement?
a statement.
Sure.
I want to say thank you for your courage. Thank you to the teachers, classified staff, and to the Board of Education. I know we're dealing with unprecedented times right now. Me personally, this year, I've lost 2 family members and 2 friends. It's impacted our lives tremendously. We want to ensure that we have the proper settings to reopen schools when the time is appropriate. So we'll do everything in our capacity to ensure we have safe schools. Thank you.
Go ahead.
First of all, I think that was really well done, very well articulated. Can you speak to, we're now hearing that staff at Colony is getting vaccinated and they're in the hopes of being able to return students at some point. Can you speak to the differences between the high school and the elementary districts and the differences between Chafee and Mountain View?
So in the existing system that we have, there are differences between high schools and what high schools can do and reopening opportunities for high schools, same for junior high, and then again for elementary. So there's been information that's been provided that the lowest grades, for example, TK through 3, TK through 2, depending upon the report, could be able to open, and they would open before upper grade elementary, which would open before junior high, with the last ones being high school. And a lot of people have asked, well, why is the high school coming on last? But you have to remember, comprehensive high schools in the state of California, and specifically within the Inland Empire, are very large, usually between 2,500 and 3,500 students, which means you're talking about a small town when you talk about total number of people, and you talk about total number of density on a campus. So the reason why the high schools have been pushed off for potential openings is because of the density and what that would look like. It is possible for high schools to potentially pivot to a hybrid model, though that has its own unique challenges, and that's something that they will explore. Elementaries have gone back and forth as far as, do you open when is the appropriate time with the lowest grades first? Do you do just the lowest grades? Do you do small cohorts? So for example, one of the ways that can be looked at from an elementary perspective is you can stay on distance education, but perhaps once we are able to open up more, small groups of students, maybe 5 or 6, are able to join the teacher for office hours each day or have a small learning group. This is called small cohort education. That's much more doable, for example, at the elementary level than it is at the junior high or high school level, but it is some of the ways that they're looking at it. From a vaccination and vaccine standpoint, I don't have a direct answer for why some places have received vaccines and others haven't. I will say it's extremely political within the county of San Bernardino. And San Bernardino County has indicated that there have been some missteps in how this has rolled out, and that they have taken those steps to make sure that we're in a more streamlined model. So where vaccines are going to be continuing, where they will expand to, or what comes on next, I don't have the specifics, other than the first priority will be schools that are currently in session, which is primarily charters. Those who had waivers in the old waiver system, waivers don't exist anymore, but in the previous waiver system, those who had waivers, who choose to exercise those waivers, once we get to a place where those schools can open, they will have an option of being able to do that. Those teachers would then be vaccinated. in advance of that. Then it goes to those who will be applying for the governor's plan for reopening, though that plan might be totally different later this week. And then in the end, it'll be those who intend to open in some form for the rest of this year or push to next year.
Thank you.
So I appreciate your comment about, sir, using February to digest the information because, you know, we are in a media market that's dominated by Los Angeles and Orange County, not by San Bernardino County. And there's a lot of different districts doing a lot of different things, different spots. Orange County numbers are dropping, LA somewhat, but not the same. You know, so there's a lot of information. There's a governor's plan to reopen schools, and the CDC is coming out with a plan supposedly this week to reopen schools. There are various agreements being made in various parts of the state to do so or not to do so. I appreciate that we're holding the course and we're as one unit. However, one thing that is common in all these plans is when we do go back to school, be it, you know, July, September, whenever, there are going to be some protocols in place. And my question is, how far along are we in those protocols based on what we know today? I realize CDC and the state's going to come out with some new protocols, but where are we today? Because what I don't want to happen is we get to that point where, yes, we're opening our schools back up and no, we're not ready. I don't want that scenario. So we need to be ready to go. So that's my question. Sanitizing stations, distancing, plexiglass, whatever it is, where are we at with that?
So for all of our campuses, what we have ventilation, we're going to start with ventilation. Ventilation systems have all been checked, upgraded to make sure that we have the appropriate flow. We then also have within all of our campuses, sanitization stations. Those have been up and running even though no one's there. So if you walk down the hall, if you walk down the hall at Gracie Oakley, you actually come across a sanitization station even though no one is there. But they're in place in case somebody were to be walking by. We do have directional lines in certain places of where students would go. We would have to make those modifications and changes depending upon what grade levels would be opening. So for example, I'll just say Ranch View. If we're going to open TK through third grade at Ranch View, we would need to determine where the students would enter, if they enter the same pattern that they previously entered in, how that flow would go, et cetera. But we already know that there are options for that flow. From a hybrid perspective, so that means not all students are on campus at the same time. They would be there in shifts. We do have the spacing available in classrooms. And that is if we do a hybrid approach, so that not all students are on campus at the same time. We're also able to access our outdoor spaces. All of our campuses have plenty of outdoor space, and we're also able to access other common areas that are large. For example, this room, though it could be also being utilized for food services or food distribution, but that's also been put into the plan for how we would handle that within a hybrid system. All of that is based upon the latest update. And then we anticipate, because there's already been some debate back and forth about how those will change, because part of it is if it is possible, if you can do this, if possible. And it depends on which of those various criteria come in. So we do know some places that have put in plexiglass. We have not put in plexiglass for the simple reason that by doing so, when our staff come through to clean, that plexiglass gets a film on it from the actual sprays and cleaners. It takes a very short period of time before those become yellowed and create visibility issues, which then impact or hinder our students. As far as staff and overall staff protection and safeties on campus, that has been from go. The only reason that our teachers are teaching from home was from a surge response. They will have an option in the future of choosing to work from campus or from home. However, any employee who's working on any facility within Mountain View School District is in a COVID-19 compliant workplace that is maintained to the highest level, to the highest criteria. That includes both the cleanliness aspects as well as the overall safety protocols in place.
Along with that, I know we do have protocols and we should have protocols before we reopen, many of which may be very, very expensive. Are there pressures being exerted now for help from the federal and state government to help fund some of those protocols?
So that's that, yes, the governor's original plan, which well, not original, we'll say the January plan from the governor, included a robust system of funding mechanisms that were in place for reopening. However, most of those were not attainable by most districts based upon timeframes and expectations, and the fact that all of it is also, or many of those aspects are negotiable. So the next component to that is a federal response. And President Biden in his 100-day plan has a variety of different incentives that can come in at a federal level. We're expecting to see those within the next couple of weeks of what exactly those federal components would be. What we're hoping for in the school system is that there'll be flexibility from each of the more than 1,000 school districts in the state of California to look at both federal and state stimulus funds to assist with the reopening of schools. That will also assure our staff and our students that we are operating in a way that is safe and conducive for everybody. As it stands right now, are there additional funds? That is what we have done, or utilize additional funds for air ventilation circulation systems, posters, PPE, all the various upgrades you've seen on campuses. That has been from that first round of federal stimulus that came from the federal stimulus that came under the Trump administration, and state stimulus that came from Governor Newsom. So will there be more? We anticipate it, but we don't know what it's going to look like quite yet.
Any further questions?
If I may, one more question. One of the CDC indicator thresholds is the number of new cases per 100,000. And what we're seeing right now is a lot of the testing sites have transitioned to vaccinations. So doesn't that imply that they're testing less, so the numbers is actually declining?
Yes, so for throughout the county, though, we do still have testing, and I want to make sure anybody hearing this knows that we do still have testing in the county, in San Bernardino County. However, many test sites are turning into vaccination or converting to vaccination sites. There's still a large push for people to get tested. And the reason for that is because there's still a large number of people who are asymptomatic who are then potentially carrying COVID. The idea is to identify who those individuals are, because then if you have quarantining and social isolation of those who are asymptomatic, along with vaccinations to the population who is up for vaccination, if you do that two-pronged approach, you have then significantly reduced the viral load within the community. So the hope also is that we will continue having vaccination sites throughout the county and vaccination opportunities that'll be rolled out that will continue. So it's not just that first pulse we saw that was basically end of October until about the middle of January. We need that to continue from a testing perspective. And though the vaccines are very important and we want to have sites for vaccines, but we also need to continue from a county, and not just San Bernardino County, that's for all counties, need to continue having a robust testing system in place, because it's the only way we have to monitor the overall prevalence in the community. If we just do it by people who are in hospitals, that's only taking the people who are the most impacted by COVID. So if you take that number and you see a declining number in COVID in the hospitals, that just lets us know that who are the most severe, we have fewer of them. And we're very, very grateful to have fewer of them in the hospitals. But that doesn't really mean what the viral load is like in the community. That we rely upon testing.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Dr. Moss. Appreciate that. Next item is action item 4A. Motion approved to award contract to Block Modular Constructors Incorporated for services detailed in the bid notice totaling $69,000. This is for the facility project at Creekview Elementary.
I'll make that motion.
What? Okay, Mr. Sweeney made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that, sir.
Who was that? Okay, thank you. Jeremy?
Yes, I'm happy to finally be able to bring an approved bid for your consideration. This is for a revamp of our secured entry at at Creekview. It actually serves twofold purposes. Provides greater security in the office that was marginal up to this point, but it also provides a greater barrier for health and safety with the community by a taller glass enclosure in the office area. We've been working with Ledesma Meyer on this process, and we are putting forward the bid for $69,000 from Block Modular.
You can close the bid sheet that was admitted in the original package.
I did not enclose it, but I provided it to you there as
Yes,
additional
You
backup
had
today.
it.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Any questions?
If I may, Mr. Courier, I asked by email, where are these two construction companies located? And I believe you made mention that they're both in the Inland Empire. One is in Ontario and one is based in Riverside, if I'm correct.
That's correct.
Especially now because, we're dealing with a recession. It's always important to identify and recognize those construction companies in the future where we have an opportunity to keep our local economy moving forward. So I always appreciate that you're looking to keep things local, whether it be San Bernardino County and Riverside. So I appreciate your efforts.
Absolutely.
Other questions? Have a motion second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstain. Next item, I need a motion to approve the consolidated application for a 2019-20 winter data collection. Have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Rollins.
This is so twice a year, our district is required to submit our consolidated application for our Title II and Title III funds. The following reports are mostly expenditure reports, and there's a couple that deal with transferability, but because we're not a Title I district, we don't have anything we have no transferability in reality. And so nothing actually gets transferred out of those programs. And so these are just kind of snapshots as of when I prepared the report 2/2 of what our expenditures would look like for the reporting periods.
Thank you. Any questions? All right. Thank you, Stephen.
You're welcome.
Have a motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next item is 2021 CSBA Delegate Assembly Election. You have a list of the people who have applied and qualified. We may vote for up to 6 candidates. Chair will start with a nomination of Randall Siniceros from our own district. I'd like to nominate him.
I second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed, abstain. Do we have some other nominations? Yes,
I'd like to nominate Kathy Thompson from Central.
okay, just find her here. Okay, a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any other nominations?
I would like to nominate Mr. Michael Snellings, Ukaipa Calamasa, as a former assistant superintendent coming out of Colton Joint Unified School District.
Second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Anyone else?
And if I may, one more. Flora Martinez from Ontario Montclair, a neighboring school district.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Any comments? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Any other candidates?
I have one more.
Mhm.
Sherry McGaugh from Chafee Joint.
I'm sorry.
I
Sherry,
would like to second that, please.
any comments? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstain. Any others? All right, with that, we'll close it. Those are the five. I'll give you the other list. Okay. I have it. Okay, thank you, and good luck to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Information items, enrollment report. Dr. Moss.
We are currently at Creek View with 608, Mountain View with 557, Ranch View with 827, Gracie Oakley 641, total 2633. We're currently 63 over projections.
With the Zoom learning, do they do all the students at once or do they break it up?
Each classroom is done at the elementary all together, though they are able to do breakout rooms if they have paraeducators, other support personnel. Within the junior high, each period has its own Zoom session. And again, there is breakout opportunities for our classrooms that are shared with special education, as well as for paraeducators for special education and also for English language learners.
Thank you. There. Continue, I'm sorry.
And then the last component that we have from attendant or from overall districts, we're looking at interdistrict numbers that are down. So interdistrict requests continue to be down. We are about 30%, between 30 and 33% off from this time last year. Number one reason for requests for interdistrict transfers continues to be childcare. However, second is now dual language immersion. Dual language immersion 1 for Mandarin programs, dual language immersion 2 for Spanish programs, 3 other languages. Mandarin is currently overtaking Spanish about 4 to 1.
All right, staff and student attendance.
Staff and student attendance, January, considering we are in the midst again of a global pandemic, was strong. 94% or higher on our campuses. Overall, we've been tracking stronger than this time last year and also this time 2 years ago. We did have a dip 2 years ago because we had a flu that was going through during the month of January, but we are tracking better than those 2 previous tracking years.
Questions?
Not a question, just a comment. From the 40 years I spent working in the private sector, an attendance rate of over 90% is spectacular during normal times. During times that we're going through now, I think all of our staff really needs to be applauded for their efforts and their sacrifices coming to work and taking care of these kids.
Agreed, thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, financial statement. Stephen?
These are our financial statements as of the end of January. There's really not much to report, not much has changed. We won't see any significant changes until technically the end of February and going to report in March, because that's when we're working on our second interim.
Any questions for Stephen? Nope. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
LCAP update, Karen?
Good evening. The state has recently released updated templates for us for the LCAP and the annual update. So we're in the process of working on those. We've met with our district curriculum council and our stakeholder parent advisory council for LCAP as well, and have shared the data that we have that helps drive our LCAP. And so we are at the process right now of taking that direction and moving forward. So we'll be completing the annual update and then moving into the LCAP and have regular monthly updates for you.
Questions? Okay, thanks, Karen.
Thank you.
Next item is sunshine proposal to bargain with Mountain View School District from the Associated Mountain View Teachers for 2021. Jeremy?
Yes, the sunshine proposal you have in front of you is from AMVT to MVSD, and it encapsulates the entire contract. This is essentially an extension of our 1920 negotiations. We're going to be working together to cover both years and to really just go through and revise the entire contract and provide a new CBA for the unit members.
don't we normally accept this as an action item, or is this just?
It will come to you as an information item this month and then as an action item follow up in March.
Hmm.
But negotiations currently are open because we're working on 1920, but we wanted to
Okay.
make sure we include 2020, 2021 into the conversation as well.
All right.
That's why we brought this to you.
Any questions for Jeremy on this one? Next is Sunshine proposal to bargain with the Associated Mountain View teachers from the Mountain View School District for 2021. Jeremy?
Yeah, so this is the same thing in reverse from the district to the association.
Okay. Any questions on this item? All right, thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Next item is again, Mountain View School District school information. In your package, you have the various publications out by the schools. We don't have the principals here to explain what's going on, so I encourage you to either go through the documents. If you have any question, contact the principals directly. And any questions on any of the items?
Can I make a comment, please?
Sure.
I just want to thank personally Principal Edmonds for her emails. She often sends those out on fresh press releases, if you will. And so I want to thank her for reaching out to me and sending those emails.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, next is Board Superintendent Staff Communications. Let's start down here. James, anything? Thank you. Mr. Sweeney?
Very briefly, I'd just like to encourage everybody, all the people that we encounter as we go through life, understand during these difficult times, we have to look at everybody and consider their emotional, their physical, and their mental health. During these difficult times, there are a lot of people suffering from anxiety, depression, loneliness, and you can see it all over their faces. And quite often, all it takes is maybe holding the door, smiling, which is kind of tough for them to see with these masks on, or a wave to just make somebody feel good, or just ask them, hey, are you doing okay? Because there are a lot of people scuffling now. And the more we can recognize that, sometimes it's, our spouse, it's our children, it's our grandchildren, coworkers or friends. The more we can do to encourage them, let them know that somebody cares. And it can just be, hey, how you doing at the gas pump at Costco? It means a lot and it can help a lot. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mike. Chris?
Yeah, I want to take a moment to just talk about a long race. The most exciting part of a long race is when you get towards the end and you're sprinting towards the finish line. There's an exhilaration and the energy is like nothing else in the race, but it's the time right before that that is the hardest part of the race. It's the time when every muscle hurts, every breath hurts. And right now, we're in that part of this race. Everything still hurts. We see that the finish line is coming, but it's so hard because, Mike, like you said, these challenges, the mental anxieties and everything that is the challenge already is exacerbated because of the pandemic, because of the lack of connection. So I just want to for everyone out there, know that we are doing well. Know that we need to connect with each other. We need to continue to reach out. Know that we have some incredible teachers that are making not the best of a situation. They are going above and beyond, and they are making something great out of something that really sucks. And so keep pushing, keep fighting. We will get through the end and we will begin to sprint very soon, but keep fighting. Thank you.
Thank you. Randall?
Just want to say there's a lot of people behind the scenes that are doing day-to-day at our school sites. And many of them go unrecognized. And I want to make an effort at every board meeting to recognize some of those individuals, whether it be a 10-year anniversary or somebody who's going above and beyond. And The first group of individuals that come to mind, I would have to say, are those who are actually filming tonight's meeting. They're behind the camera right now. They're working the audio. They're here at every board meeting, ensuring that we have a presentation that's suitable for the public. So, Ms. Greenwood, for everybody else who's here assisting, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate that. There are other individuals, whether it be David at M&O working at Mountain View. He's, showing up every day to work. He's out there painting the campus, cleaning it up, making repairs, and ensuring that we have clean and adequate campuses. So that's very important. I know also they recently undergone a library project. And so to the library media, the techs, and those who've been working so hard, they've been counting the school curriculum. They've have a room that's designated for housing and organizing by grade levels. So they've been a tremendous success over there, and they've accomplished a lot. So every meeting, I want to encourage the board to help recognize some of those individuals, whether it be an employee of the month or somebody who's on the staff who's just going above and beyond an overachiever. So thank you.
Thank you. I just want to speak out to everyone, especially in the audience on camera. The board is committed to reopen in a prudent and safe manner. There will be a lot of pressure from a lot of different factions over the next few months to do certain things that this board may not be comfortable with doing. We're going to hold the line for the safety of our staff, for our employees, for our students, for our community. And it will be a difficult time, but that is a commitment of this board, is to open smart and not to rush to judgment, rush to make the situation worse. We're going to open in a prudent manner. So that's just a commitment. There's a lot of talk, a lot of conversation going on in the news, in the state, in the country. But in our district, we're committed to making the right choice at the right time. So anyway, it's my preach for the day. I got a future? I just said, do I have a future? Yeah. Okay, thanks. In case you lose your job. I know, James.
And I just want to piggyback on what Ron just mentioned. In the course of our, we've been through a lot. And and I have some things we should do. We want to stay the course. And we really want to, if you read the newspapers and the press, a lot of our neighbors are, 1 minute they open, next minute they're closed. 1 minute they open, next day we're closed. And we have stayed the course. And we are following the protocols from a technological standpoint, from a structural standpoint, from a human, which is probably the most important, from a human standpoint, because we have to make sure that everyone is safe. And we're doing that, and that's what some things we keep in mind, so that when we do open up, we'll make sure that we'll follow all the protocols. They're forever changing, but we're following the protocols that the local, state, city, and federal protocols are putting out. And so when we do open up, hopefully in August, everyone will be safe. Thank you very much.
Dr. Moss?
We are in February and it is Black History Month. And each year we have this opportunity for a month to learn amazing stories and tales, history being made in the present, history from long ago, people we've never heard of before, people we're so glad we have heard of, and we get to hear the story again. We have the opportunity in February to continue these stories, to promote these stories. And I encourage everyone out there, whether it is through the social media feed of the district, where several times through the week, I'll be posting another figure from Black history. people you may not have heard of. And if it interests you, that particular person, dive in a little bit deeper. There are additional resources that are out there. I know our teachers are doing a fantastic job with tying together Black history and different figures that have made our country the incredibly diverse fabric of people that we are. And so I encourage you to take the opportunity as you see the posts to explore some of those individuals, learn more about some of those individuals. I am trying to find different ones that I may not have had experiences with in the past, and I'm a historian. So it's great as somebody who has a degree in history, being able to go and find examples of people who have done incredible things, that have promoted equity, that have promoted a place where we as a country can come together as one, as Americans, and how we still have opportunities to make our nation better than it was in the past. Thank you.
Good. Let me finish first. Jen? Karen? Stephen? Jeremy? Okay. James?
I just want to piggyback on what Doug mentioned, and seeing this is Black history. I'm currently reading a book. It's called Commander Tubman. And I'm assuming everybody in here knows Harriet Tubman. But the book I'm reading is called Commander Tubman. And what it does is looks at her military lifestyle. This was one amazing woman. We all know the story. She went to the South and begged for people, but they're looking at her. If you don't know, she was a Union spy. She retired as a colonel in the United States Army. But it's called Commander Tubman. And in the book, they refer to her a lot as General Tubman because she carried a lot of weight in the military. And she basically was, she started the first intelligence port of the Union Army. And they refer to her as General Tubman. So and the same lady that wrote the book, she also wrote a book about Alexander Hamilton also. But I encourage you to, if you have some spare time and you want to see about a very amazing woman, considering what she went through as an escaped slave, simply amazing as a woman. So it's called Commander Tubman, and I forgot the name of it, but I just got the book just recently, and you will see an amazing woman, considering that she was an escaped slave. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, consent agenda. Unless a trustee, the superintendent, or the public has a question concerning a particular item C, and ask that be withdrawn from the consent agenda, item C. Just teasing, Susan. Items that are considered routine in nature are approved at one time by the governing board. The item that wishes to be withdrawn. Okay. Do I have a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, Susan, you got your retirement. Congratulations. You deserve it. I think I want item C withdrawn so we could prevent her retiring. But we wish, the board wishes you all the best, Susan, going forward. July is your last day? Okay, so we got plenty of time. Also, I just had a question on the Jersey sub. Was that from the new one down in Ontario Ranch area? The donation ranch, do we know?
I don't know. I can find
There's a
out.
New
though.
Jersey sub down there by Stater Brothers. Jersey Mike. Okay, thanks. I just want to know. That's a nice start of the community. It just opened. Okay, our next regular meeting of the Board of Trustees will be at 7 p.m. on Monday, March 8th. Do we have closed session?
We do have closed session.
All right, then wish you all the best. Have a wonderful February, Valentine's Day, President's Day, everything else. And we'll be back before St. Patrick's, so we'll do that then. Okay, no, maybe green, not wearing a kilt. All right. Thank you all for coming. Bye.